We've got a very special treat in the EP studio. With us today is my good friend Andrew Collins from Nintendo. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
This is awesome. I've been telling you that I've wanted you on the show ever since I sort of intimated that this change was coming and we were going to have a live studio space here at 390 West Hastings, by the way, if you ever want to come and join us live.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. It's been a while, but finally I'm here.
Yes, thank you for coming, and also thank you for I think I can say that thank you on behalf of Nintendo for saving E3 2019 this year, because your video reveals, I think, really kicked it up a notch. I'm not alone in saying that, right? You guys were blown away by what Nintendo had to offer. It was crazy. It's not like E3 sucked. It just was, Keanu Reeves was the biggest bit of news that was happening at E3.
It was pretty breathtaking.
Which was breathtaking. But with Nintendo's announcements, it was great to be a Nintendo fan.
Yeah, it's just, it's really satisfying when you see the amount of happiness and joy that, the reveal, the direct gave to everybody at E3. It was, it's a great pleasure to have that excitement. And, I knew some of the surprises, so I was kind of looking forward to seeing the reaction.
Yeah.
There was a couple that were a surprise to me as well, so I was kind of, that was actually quite nice. I didn't know that Zelda, the Breath of the Wild sequel was happening. So it was nice because I was kind of put back into having a fan reaction instead of a kind of a professional reaction. It was like, so I was busy working away, checking reaction, then it's like, whoa, okay.
That's the line you guys all have to walk over there, isn't it? Because you don't want to know too much, but you have to know enough that you can go out and talk about all of the stuff that's coming.
Well, we're fans, and so it's like when you're working on a game, you don't want to know too much about the game. You want to know what you need to know to do a good job.
Yeah.
But you also want to have that moment when the game releases, when you can sit down and just, fall back into fandom and just, sit down and play Super Mario Maker 2 with the little guy and build those levels.
Which is coming out next week.
This week.
Oh, it's this week.
Friday.
That's right, yeah. You had some big reveals for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I'm wondering if you watched Johnny Millennium's take on the hero being a part of Smash.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, one of the interesting ones. To be honest, I think from what I saw, everything was like, it was all banjo. So it was nice to see, Johnny fighting for the hero.
Oh, it blew his mind.
Okay.
Were you guys anticipating the excitement? And I guess you must have, right? Because you knew the banjo surprise was coming.
Yeah, and again, my reaction to Banjo was pretty much as a fan. I remember playing it many, many years ago on the N64, sat in my bedroom, and just knowing that, Banjo was coming back, and the video reveal, I loved that little tease, and then boom. And I've got to admit, I had a little bit of nostalgia in my eye.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And also, I think with Link's Awakening, you got a chance to show this off to people, let them get their hands on with it. What do you think the split was for people that had never? Oh, you brought the little figure.
Well,
look at this.
You've got yours. So.
That is awesome. Should we put him right beside Batman?
Sure.
Right there. Batman, you take care of Link right there. Does he stand up? There you go. What was the reaction to people playing Link's Awakening? And did people remember the Game Boy, or was this a brand new game for a lot of people?
That was one of the interesting things for me, is that you've got people who are our generation, who probably, they played it on their own Game Boy and they loved it many, many times. And then you'd got younger gamers who'd kind of gone back and they'd played it through, they bought it on the eShop for the 3DS. Mm-hmm. So there was a huge range of people who had this really strong reaction about how much they were really excited about it. So, for me it was great because, I'm going to be able to kind of share that one, with the little guy, because this is one of my earlier Zelda memories. Let's give it to him to create it. And
with your son, who is the luckiest son on earth. Let's be honest here, right? He has access to all these Nintendo games. That's awesome.
Well, I do need to explain to him that these things cost money. But it's nice to have my little focus group of one at home, and he was really excited. And I think one of the things that did it for him and a lot of people when we were playing at E3 was, it's got to be one of the most beautiful looking games I've seen for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's like, you're playing a cartoon.
Yes.
And it's not that, the dev team haven't just taken, the original Game Boy game and just made it look pretty and finished it.
Yep.
There's lots of really good
We're giving a lot of screen time to this little Link. Is that okay?
Yes, fine. He's having his own adventure. So, there's lots of work kind of gone on behind the scenes. If you remember the original game, you spent a lot of time in the menus. So what we've done is we've kind of cleaned out the menus. We've looked, what's the UI path, and then stripped it down, because the idea is we want to keep people out in the menus where possible.
Okay.
And, keep them on the island, keep them experiencing the game.
It was so much fun to play. It was crazy. But you had, it was like all of these punches. Like I said to you, it was like Nintendo was flexing.
You did that.
Right? Because it was showing that you guys can operate on all of these different levels. You had the Marvel relationship, you had the Pokemon Sword and Shield, the delay on Animal Crossing, I think, not unexpected and also totally fine because there's so much content coming out this year. Luigi's Mansion 3. When you have this many games to get hyped about as a publisher, does it make your job harder? Does it, because you don't, can you gauge what people are most excited about, or is it just a bunch of different communities sort of building up there?
I think one of the things we've seen for Nintendo Switch now is there's pretty much a game for everybody.
Yeah.
When I was looking through the list, there's some games like Doom Eternal that I'm going to enjoy playing. Close the Doors is just me playing it.
Right.
But then you've got games like Minecraft Dungeons, and we can bring the kids in. Then you go back to games like Super Mario Party, and even when we get hold of Luigi's Mansion 3, you can have the Scarecrow mode when there could be 8 players, 4 Luigis and 4 Luigis, as long as you've got the 4 systems playing together.
Wow.
So you run the whole range of these games, games you can play anywhere, you can play at home, pretty much any setting.
Yep.
But there's a game for every member of the gamer family.
Is it a thing like people are just becoming more confident and more comfortable with this Switch hardware, and we're just having a lot more diversity in the types of titles that are able to be played on the system and made for the system?
I think it's, my own impression is that, developers and fans are really appreciating the kind of the hybrid nature of Nintendo Switch, where you can be playing a game for a couple of hours, realize you've got to go out, you just pull it out the dock, sit in the back of the car, and you can just keep on playing the game.
Yeah.
And so, the exposure, the amount of time that you get, the ability to play the game. I mean, I'm sure you took your Nintendo Switch on the flight to E3.
I did.
Yep,
yeah, I was actually, I'm playing Cadence of Hyrule right now, and I was addicted to it, and I was playing it on the television and enjoying it, and then I had that epiphany moment that I always have. It's like, I can just take it I can take it with me on my ride here, which is crazy.
One thing I love doing is, and I've had this happen a few times, like when I came back from Toronto a couple of months ago, I'd got my system and I was playing Mario Kart on my own. And there's a couple of people leaned over and said, "What are you playing?" And I said, "Oh, Mario Kart." I went, "Oh, that'd be great." And hang on a minute, and I just slipped off the Joy-Con, and there was 3 of them. I went,
and you didn't know these people?
No.
Wow. I guess that's your job.
Yeah. But I now carry 4 Joy-Con with me, just for those 4-player flight moments.
That's amazing.
And it was great. It was like it was
awesome.
Just 4 of us enjoying ourselves. Like the poor guy across the aisle, though, his view wasn't as good.
Right. Yeah. He's all pissed. Did you kick him one of these little links?
No.
No, of course not. All right, so let's talk about the E3 video announcements. Was Zelda, the Breath of the Wild sequel, was that the biggest news? Because you guys have ways of measuring articles written and hype and stuff a little bit. Are you able to kind of track that?
Yeah, we do look into that. It's not something that we've kind of really properly collated yet because we're still...
It's still happening, yeah.
Yeah, we're literally talking about E3 now, so coverage is still happening. So, but I think if you look at it from, the fan reaction, that, that it was like this, this cadence of building up and building up and building up. But then we had Banjo, and we all thought, what a way to finish. But
are we finding, like Panzer Dragoon, I think, is when I just completely lost it. I was in the press room watching the vids, and there were these waves of people freaking out about different things. The Banjo thing was a big deal, but I've been wanting a Panzer game forever, and it's just slipped into your video, and I was totally freaking out.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I, as a gamer of a certain age, is that there's games that I haven't had time to play.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be able to get a chance to play it again because I never had a Saturn at the time. So, but it was one that people like yourself loved.
Yes.
So it gives me this opportunity to revisit games that I've not played.
We've got a ton of indie titles to play on the Switch, and that's one of the best-selling features of the machine. But now we're starting to see a lot of the third-party publishers, and like we've got The Witcher 3 coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Is it going to become a harder deal for indies now to kind of get recognized and to find a little room on the eShop to?
I don't think so. I think when we look at things, we're not looking at them from a perspective of first party, third party, or indies. It's like, what is the game experience and what will that bring to the fans?
Right.
So we're seeing that from like say games like Cadence, getting a lot of coverage in Treehouse Live.
Yeah.
That's an indie title. It doesn't mean we're not going to support it and promote it, because our job is to make fans aware of these games as they come out.
Let's talk about Cadence here for a second, because that was we knew that it was coming because you guys had done a previous direct talking about that, but we didn't know that it was coming that week, and so you shipped it the week of, or you went live with the game the week of E3. How is it doing? But more importantly, how did this game come to be? How did it happen?
I believe you're probably better off asking your guest on Wednesday for that one.
Okay.
Because he will have a lot more insight about how the game came about. I'd love to hear it myself, because that's not something that we kind of go too much into. It's more about this game's coming, and now how can we spread the word?
Right. And so now you did spread the word on a very, very well watched E3 Nintendo Direct. Is this becoming one of the most downloaded titles out there? Because it's very different for a Zelda experience, but are people finding it and loving it?
Yeah, we wouldn't typically share numbers, but from what I've seen, it's doing very well.
That's awesome. Okay, let's talk about some of the other big announcements. The response and reception to what you guys have shown off now about Pokemon Sword and Shield. How is that looking in the context of your incredibly successful run of Pokemon titles?
I think from every experience that I had, I probably did 25, 30 different interviews and demonstrations while I was at E3.
Yeah. And
uniformly, everyone was really enjoying Pokemon, because it's the first time we're getting to see a lot of the next generation of Pokemon.
Yes. And
with the the new Galar region, kind of looking a little bit like an upside down Britain, which I quite like that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And the introduction of the new Pokemon, because it allows fans to kind of have that sensation when they're going back exploring and meeting these new ones, and you've got to think about the strategy, particularly when you have the idea of the new Dynamax Pokemon.
Yeah.
You quite enjoyed those, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I made a giant, I was a little, a corgi.
You were Yamper.
Yeah, okay, I was Yamper. Yeah, I can never remember the names of these. I'm getting old, guys. I can't remember all my Pokemon. But yeah, it was incredibly cute. He became enormous and
less cute,
destructive.
More terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's a really interesting game dynamic, because you can capture them. These guys will they'll be in the wild area where you can find them, but then you can go into kind of like a 4-player raid. It's the max raid battles, and when you and 3 friends can join forces, take your Pokemon and take on one of these wild Dynamax in order to capture them and then use them in your battles going forward.
That's awesome. It was a big year for Marvel at E3. Not just obviously with the Avengers, which was finally revealed. There was a little bit of backlash with the costumes and stuff, but Marvel Ultimate Alliance coming back exclusively to the Nintendo platform. Do you know how that all manifested?
No, I don't. I don't hear a lot about the kind of the how it came to be. It's just working with the team in the last few months. It's definitely one of the games that's really exciting us.
Yeah.
And I think something like E3 is a great opportunity for people to experience it, because while it's it's a great game when you're playing with the AI playing as 3 other characters, but when you've got 4 live people playing it next to you, that's when it becomes that great couch co-op experience or online experience.
That is very, very cool. And it also has a an art style that is very evocative of the comic books and all that. What was the reaction? I mean, obviously there's a tremendous amount of Marvel fans out there that know very little about video games, but this is the one that they're going to be excited about.
Yeah, it was a very positive reaction. One of the things I liked is that, like I say, you've got a lot of people coming into the Marvel game as fans of the movies. And because there's the wide breadth of characters and superheroes that will be in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, it gives you a chance to learn about more of them. So it's not just, Wolverine, Tony Stark, etc. It's not those guys. It's all the extras that you've not met yet. And it gives. My hope is that people will play the game. They'll pick someone they don't know.
Yep.
And then they'll enjoy playing as that superhero. And then maybe they'll go to the comic book store and they'll start reading about them and kind of. That love of the movie will seep into the love of the comic book world.
I mean that's because it just engenders more attempts at this, right? And future iterations. How is this going to do you know how it's going to gel with the previous games? Is it a carryover of any story stuff? Or?
No, the story is entirely unique to Ultimate Alliance 3, and it's a brand new, unique story. It's nothing from a previous comic book or nothing from a movie. The story was written by Mark Sumerick specifically for the game.
Awesome. Now let's talk about Luigi's Mansion 3. I think that was a little bit of a spoiler alert. That was one of the things that I was most excited about, period, coming out of E3 this year. Partially, I think, to be fair, because it was made right here in Vancouver by Next Level Games, and Hellbent Studios, I think, worked on it a little bit too, which is amazing. We had Chris and Zoe from that team on not too long ago. But it's just also like a real... it's like a fulfillment of the promise of what Luigi's Mansion could have been when it was first revealed on the GameCube, at least what I played. But I'm curious, because you had a lot of people having hands-on reaction to the thing and playing with the mechanics. Were people getting it, and was there a lot of smiles?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was great because the number of smiles on people's faces across the whole 3 days of E3 was great.
Yeah.
But I think one of the greatest moments for me at E3 was every time I took someone into the hotel lobby where people were playing Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah.
And I think your reaction was priceless because it was a really cool room to show off the game.
The physical space.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah, this was like, I've been to every E3 and I've been to every Nintendo booth at E3, and this Luigi's Mansion booth was something else. It was crazy. Did we get any footage of that, Blake, or? No, we don't have the booth, unfortunately, but it was wonderful, and what a way to showcase it. Did you have any interaction with Next Level at all? Did you talk with any of those teammates when they were down there at all?
No, I saw them on the plane, and that was it.
Okay.
But no, Luigi's Mansion 3 was one of those really satisfying games to play because it's got a good mechanic with the poltergust where you can kind of lock onto the ghost, and I particularly like it when you've got them in your grip and then you swing them around, and any other ghosts in their area you can just absolutely knock them out with that. So they've been taken out by the best friends. So I think for me it's a game that is going to work on a lot of levels. Like, you can play it as single player, and you press the right stick, and Luigi, who's your partner for the game, he will appear.
How long did it take you to get the name of Luigi down properly? And you didn't say it and it sounded weird.
I don't think I did. It was just,
Luigi.
Luigi.
It just came. It was natural. Okay. All right.
It's the perfect name because it's Luigi made out of goo.
Yes.
But the nature of how he works in the game, it's this great mechanic, and he can reach areas that you can't. So it's a teamwork, but teamwork in a design that you can play on your own.
Yep.
But if you want to play it with friends, it can be a two-player immediately. One of you's Luigi, one of you's Luigi.
I can't wait to have the Next Level guys on, and I don't know if you're going to join us when we're able to do that, but I really want to talk about how that game came together, because I know it's not just them, it's in collaboration with everybody in Nintendo Japan.
It's a strong partnership with Nintendo Japan for the game,
which, I'm super excited, but it felt wonderful. How do you guys celebrate when you do something like that? And Nintendo's a relatively reserved group of people. It's not like everybody's running around high-fiving everybody when you get to the booth, but did you guys let loose? Was there a party or anything like that for Nintendo folks at E3? Or?
No, I think what I try to do is, and it is difficult, I try to get out of the booth, the corporate area where we go, where we do our demonstrations, and I like to just watch everyone playing it, because that's, we don't need parties, stuff like that. E3 is kind of, it's an opportunity for fans in the industry to see the games and get their hands on, and when you see, I particularly like watching kids. Obviously there's no kids at E3, but if you this weekend, if you go to one of the Best Buys, you'll be able to do some check out Super Mario Maker 2.
Oh yeah, you guys did do that, right?
Yeah, and so we're doing that again this weekend.
That's cool.
And that'll be a great opportunity where I don't wear any Nintendo t-shirts, but I just like to watch, because that's the real payoff. Yeah. And it's all about those smiles on the faces.
Dude, let's be honest, you turn everybody into kids at E3. They may not be kids by their ID, but you should see people just run to Nintendo stations to play these games. And the line is historically around the whole booth, and takes forever to get just a little bit of hands-on time. And a lot of smiles.
Yeah, we had the Warp Pipe Pass this year to try and pull down those time frames. So it was a little bit easier for fans. We were able to, fans could reserve, so that helped a lot.
Was there a game that you guys showed off, or maybe you had some hands-on with at your booth, or you went to another booth and played that's going to be on the Switch that surprised you, that you really think people should hear about or pay attention to?
I think one of the things I'm looking forward to is I want to get my hands on Astral Chain.
Yep.
That's out in a couple of months, and just because it's got that, it's a classic Platinum game. It has that beautiful art style and just astonishing combat mechanics. So that wasn't, we weren't able to play that at E3.
Yeah.
So that's one that I'm looking forward to kind of sitting down and properly experiencing, because looking at the videos and the Treehouse Live, it's this incredible world that these guys have created.
It was an incredible buffet, and we didn't even talk about No More Heroes 3 is coming, and yeah, an amazing launch of or a release of information on titles. We don't know when Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming. Do you want to let us know when we're going to be able to get that game?
We don't have a locked release date for that. It's 2019.
2019. Yeah. Did you want to use this platform to let the world know when you're thinking of releasing Luigi's Mansion 3? We have a microphone and a camera right here.
I refer you to the statement I just made.
Okay. All right, everybody. Andrew Collins, thank you, my friend.
My pleasure.
We'll definitely have you back soon.
Cool, thank you.